Good afternoon, everyone. It is lunchtime here. We got a special show that we're doing for Rich for the Incantesi. So excited to talk to him about this project. He's been broadcasting the art live for a couple weeks now, a little over halfway through the project, and it's definitely an awesome project. He's sent me a sneak peek of it, and I'm excited to talk to him about it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring out Rich. How's it
Here
going?
I am. Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Going good. It's been a crazy week. I'm like
Uh,
all messed up on my days because I took vacation to launch this guy right here. So I've been
yeah,
like
man.
sleeping in, and I'm like, what? It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and I just now getting up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It's been hectic. It's been up there. I mean, my sleep has actually decreased from what it usually is, like between 4 or 5 hours a night. Now it's like three because it's like I mean I do have other assignments that I do take care of that are like with other clients and everything, and then I jump on this afterwards, and then I'm doing a live show. And I'm still juggling with when to do the live show just to be absolutely sure that I get whatever exposure because I live in the United Kingdom. And I mean, I'm an American, but I live in the United Kingdom. And I'm 5 hours ahead of everybody. So even if I do something like now, even if I started like a live show right now, it's only like 1 o'clock over in the Eastern Seaboard where I used to live. So it's like, all right, if I'm going to do one when everyone gets home from dinner, it's going to be like midnight already. So it's like, it's like it kind of messes with you a little bit. And I'm a person that really likes to wake up nice and early, so it's like you know just that. But I'm still adjusting.
So how long have you lived in the UK?
I got here last year, last year, right when the pandemic started, right around, yeah, about 2 weeks after. Hello, Mike, how are you? I know him. He's awesome. I got here February 29th. February 29th. I got here February 29th. A week later, we had the lockdown. And then afterwards, it was you know I'll talk to you about it later. But let's say it was a really interesting year. It was a really really interesting year. So it was like everything was happening at one time. So that was fun.
So
It
yeah,
was,
I bet last year was just fun for everybody. So you know how
yeah, it
that goes.
was.
So
It was. It was. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
oh no, you're fine. So what were your inspirations for the Incantesi? Like I want to back up a little bit before we talk about the project and talk about you and how did you get into art and when did you first start drawing?
Well, when I was a child, I was living in Brooklyn, New York, and I lived in New York most of my life. I was small. Hi, Russell, Rich, Mike, and Trish. Hey, how you doing? I lived in Brooklyn, and until I was about 5 or 6. And my father, he noticed that I was just running around being rambunctious and everything. So what he did was he brought home a Super Friends coloring book because it's like the Wonder Twins and stuff, something stupid. And he also brought home one of those annuals, a DC comic annual with Captain Marvel and Firestorm. I don't know if maybe it was like the first appearance of Firestorm ever. It was like it was a comic that was dated in 1972. It was really old, But as soon as I started looking at the comic, I was fascinated. I was like, wow, this is awesome. But then after a bit, I took a piece of paper and I was started looking at like the drawings, and I just started drawing the superheroes just by looking at them. And I was 4, and I took the Super Friends coloring book, and not only did I color within the lines, which was but I also provided like highlight and shadow in the dimensions of that. And at 5 years old, I was doing the animation flip books, at 5, because I immediately got it without a question. And it was like, yeah, I think I'll do this, so it was like, yeah, I was happy. I was very, very pleased, very, very pleased. And did that most of my life. I was the artist in high school. I was the artist in uni. And just when I was about to graduate, at that point, I was studying art and advertising design, and just at that point, my grade advisor or the head of the department says he saw me drawing of superheroes or whatever, and he's like, "You need to have an internship." And I'm like, "Okay, where?" And he's like, "Marvel Comics." And I'm like all of like 22 at that point, and I'm like, "No, this is ridiculous. I'm too old for comics. What's wrong with you? I like girls. Thank you." They're just
Yeah.
I was dating a more than reasonably hot model, so I was like, "Yeah, all right, let's do this." But I did the whole and then he was like, "Well, look, you needed to graduate," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So anyway, I'm like, "Where are we gonna go?" And he's like, "Well, do you want an intern at Marvel Comics?" And I go, "All right, yeah, sure, whatever." So I get up there and I'm in love again. I'm like, "Oh my god!" There's like a big thing of the Hulk. There's a big cardboard cutout of the Hulk, and then one of Spider Man, and then like there's like wallpaper of all Marvel action, and there's like the little tiny 5 foot tall receptionist behind the desk, and she's like, "Can I help you? Welcome to Marvel." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm Rich Perotta. I'm here for the internship." And she's like, "Oh, we've been waiting for you." And I'm like, ah, "Waiting for me? Oh no!" So anyway, right? I go in the back and I sit down with this lovely lady named Mary McFerrin. She was the intern coordinator at the time. And she was like, "Well, we have these things. We have a couple of internships. We want to put you in as an intern with the X-Men office." And I'm like, "Art, what?" I'm like, "What? What?" I mean, I didn't react. I was just too shocked. But in my head, I'm like, "Really?" And it's just like X-Men. The very first actual comic that I bought with my own allowance money, X-Men, and it's like she's like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "Okay." So I hang out in the office for about 3 hours. I meet all the top artists. I meet the Kuberts. I meet Lee Weeks. I mean, I didn't get to meet Joe Madureira back then, but he never really showed up in the office. He was too busy at home. But I met a lot of the top artists. And then when my internship ended, they offered me, "Would you like to see if you can get a job in editorial or in the art corrections department?" So I chose the art corrections department. I had to do a portfolio for that. And after the third try, I got in. I worked on staff at Marvel for about a year and a half. And then I worked as a freelancer for about 10 years as an inker. And I worked on just about every single title you can think of, with the exception of maybe, I don't know, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four. Those were the only ones I didn't touch. And I worked on, oh, excuse me, sorry. I worked on all of them. And if you Google my name and you're Rich Perotta, Marvel Comics, it'll be like 6, 7 pages of all the stuff I worked on. At some point or another, you may find a database with all the credits that I had. And then I stopped for a bit, for about 6 years, because I got tired of it, and I moved to North Carolina. And then I decided I didn't want to just like loaf around anymore. I started working for DC Comics. I was the anchor on Booster Gold and the Ray and an issue of Batman Beyond. I was like, it's enough. Because I mean, I did the whole thing. It's like, all right, I got into the big two. I was an anchor. All right, that's enough. Afterwards, I ventured into the world of the independent comics, and I was a lot more successful than I thought it would be. And it was just, I was making a little bit less money, but I was having more fun because I was doing more of the creating, much less, more than just the inking. I was like the penciler who inked his own work, and because of that, also with a lot of the studios, I developed the characters that they asked me to do. So I established the look for a lot of the characters that are out there that are in the indie circuit, and that's the most gratifying time I've had as a comic illustrator. And up until now, which is the comic that I already have a Kickstarter for, and I started up last year.
And then Jack says Wonder Twins power activate in form of bucket of water and albatross.
Yeah, that's my life. I'm just a bucket of water being carried around by an albatross, waiting for it to like land really clumsily and just splatter all over the damn place. That's me. Right all over me.
So she worked for the big two, and you decided to dabble in the indie industry for a while. So what inspired you to come up with the Incantesi? What inspired the story and the characters?
My favorite story. Throughout my travels through social media, I wound up making friends with this lovely Italian actress by the name of Sofia Broccani, and I saw her picture, and I looked at it, and she's a very, very funny actress, very sweet, really nice kid, really gorgeous. Don't tell her I said that. And she was we connected on social media, and she was privy to a bunch of my Go Lives sessions, and she saw how I was drawing this and drawing that, and she goes to me, she goes, "Richard," in her Google Translate English, just like I Google Translate Italian. She was just like, "Can you draw me as a superhero?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Cameron. What's up?" So I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And we discussed it a little bit because I don't know why I wanted to really pay attention to this one. And I was like, "Well, what do you want?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know. Maybe you can make me a mystical figure or like fantasy or something." And I'm like, "Well, okay, I can make you something of a sorceress. What do you think?" And she's like, "Absolutely, I love it. I can't wait." So I draw the character, and she loves it. But I'm still living in the United States at the time, so it's like sending any package overseas or anything is like $50 with not even a hitch. So I was like, I'll put it to the side and I'll wait till I have 50 on the side, and I leave it there for about a month. And then I decide, with the stuff that I'm doing, I'm just like, man, I should just like start doing this myself, because during my travels, a lot of people have asked me, why aren't you doing your own comic? And I'm like, well, it's funding, it's this, that, and the other. But now it's so much easier to do, because a lot more printing shops are open to printing stuff like that, which is fantastic. So I was just, all right, what am I going to do? So I try to work. I'm thinking of what I'm going to use. And I realized that the characters that I created in the 80s and the 90s when I was a kid, they just sucked because they were all like image type things or something, with those stupid poses when it's like, it's like really unnatural for a human body to bend like that. I mean, just look at it's like a 45-degree angle when a girl stands and she's doing her power pose and she has like boobs that point to an end, and like her butt is like this, and it's like she has a spine like this. It's like she needs medical attention immediately or she's going to die, or food, because it's like no one should have a 3-inch waist with a 55-inch bust. So it's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not
back
using any of
failure.
my characters. No, they suck. So I'm rummaging, and I didn't think of it again for like a little while, and then I'm rummaging through like the pages of art that are all over my damn desk, and I find her drawing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the story just pops into my head. It's a very rough idea of what it is, but then I'm like, wait a minute, what did I just do? And I'm like, oh, this is going to be an awesome book. Oh my God, I got to do it. And the only thing that I wanted to do to make sure that everything was okay is that because I wanted to make sure I didn't step on any toes, I wanted to ask her if I can use her likeness, because it was her likeness as a character, as the main character, is what I was most, is really what compelled me to do it, because it's like, it was just like, she's just there and it worked. Freak Fight Fly, so we can create all the nice things he wanted to. Yeah, kind of. It's funny. I never had relations with anybody as a result of my drawing. It was just funny. But the point being is that it's like I asked her and she was like, absolutely. And I was like, okay, great, let's do this. So I started writing the story and I started doing the art. I had to slow down a little bit last year because I was doing the art last year. I would have finished it a lot earlier, but I had cancer for a little bit, which really sucked. And it was like out of nowhere, So I was like, okay, how are we gonna do this? And I got treated for it. I had the radiotherapy, and I was still doing freelance work that I was getting paid for, as well as the stuff for the Incantesi. But I managed to finish it, and here we are. And if I may, what I wanted to do more than anything before I even started the Kickstarter was print out a few of these things, and look what we got. Ta-da! It's the first issue. It's only a mock-up, really. It's there's still some. I mean, I did this just for the sake of like printing it out, because I wanted to see a tangible copy and how it was going to look, and the printer that I used did not disappoint. This is really good, really, really kick-ass paper quality, and the coloring is awesome. And I did everything on this one. I did the lettering, I did the coloring, I did the line art, I even did the lettering on this. So it's like, it's all me. And yeah, I'm very happy about this. And it's the weirdest thing when you see something that you've done and you put it in print, because it's like you don't know how you're going to feel, but then when you see it, it's like, it's really outrageous, man. I was too much fun, way too much fun. And I also, what I do, I also ordered 5 hardcover copies. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as I get those in, I'm going to open those up, and we're going to see how those look, because I'm like, I can't wait to see what it's like hardcover. I feel like a child, It's just like, thank you, Jack. I appreciate it, man. It's like, I'm so excited to do this, and the story just keeps unfolding, and it keeps getting better, and the universe keeps expanding on itself.
Yeah, and you've already started doing book 2,
Yeah,
haven't you? You've done the art for book 2, and I think you were doing the cover for book 2
yeah.
the other day. You were
I
drawing
already
it
have
live.
I have the cover already for it. I did the cover live. I
Yeah,
did I penciled the cover in one instance, and then I inked it in the second live broadcast in the same day. And I'll tell you what, man, it's all coming together. I mean, I have the cover. I have 7 pages already in the pipeline. Then that's my Kickstarter right there. And I already have 7 pages in the pipeline, and I haven't started coloring them as of yet. That's the first issue. I have what was I going to say? I forgot. I'm sorry. Give me a second. I had a brain fart. Excuse me.
no,
Yeah.
you're fine. You were talking about
Okay.
the art that you have
I
for the second book.
Yeah. This is the black and white cover. That's the black and white, and the cover over here is what it looks like fully rendered. I don't know if I have it there. I may have it there. That's one of the pages. That's
Yeah.
page, I think, 38. Yeah, that's page 38.
And the art for it's phenomenal. Like I said, I've read the advanced copy of it. Rich was kind enough to send that over to me, and I was like, man, I got to have him on because the art for it's phenomenal. I love all the
Thank you.
explosions. I mean, it is
Wow.
West Explode Studios, so all the energy explosions, there's tons of them, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is my
Oh, this is
jam here.
nothing. Wait until next issue.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my God.
you sent
Wait
me
until
some of the
next issue. It's gonna
preliminary
be
art of the
nuts.
explosion. I mean, like here, right here. Here's another one of those energy explosions.
Oh man. I wish I sent you the double. Did you see? You saw the double page spread, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was nuts. I waited until the absolute end for the double page spread. I was like, yeah, we're gonna make this one like the big money shot, whatever. Yeah, and this is and this one over here is one of the pages from issue 2. This is one of the pages from issue 2, and this one's gonna be really nasty. One of the characters, she's a teleporter. I mean, her main spell is the ability to teleport just about anywhere, and she's been possessed by one of her colleagues or one of her friends in order to teleport to that woman's house. But instead of like creating a teleportation disc, she creates it inside of her body, and that's how her body's just going to discorporate. So one of her colleagues is going to kill her. Nasty stuff, I know, terrifying. That's the colored cover. Yeah, I did the coloring on that also.
And it's beautiful. I love the colors.
Thanks, man. Thank you. This is my passion project.
And then here's some of the colored pages from the inked pages you seen a little bit ago.
Yeah. What I did was with a lot of the coloring, so sick looking. That black and white. Yeah, it is, man. What I did was the coloring that I did. It's basic. What I did was I just applied the flat colors, and then I applied the shading. Because there's a lot. I mean, on the average, to me, the way that I see it, yeah, that's me. And the way that I see it, that's her. There she is. That's that. Look at that classic Italian beauty. Are you kidding? Really? Look at that. Look at that faccia bella. That's all there is to it. And it's what was I going to say? Yeah, it's for coloring, I just applied the simple areas, and then I did the shadows. And then I did a little bit of the highlights, but then I messed around with a couple of like exposing more light and then taking more light away. I like what a dodge and burn tool in Photoshop. It's not like it's easy. It's not easy. And I'm not the best colorist by any stretch of the imagination. But what I do also is that I lower the intensity of the color, because I feel like, love that cover. Thank you, Cameron. I lowered the intensity of the color because I mean, no disrespect to any colorist. They're all great. Don't get me wrong. It's just that sometimes the colors are so deep and so rich that they overwhelm the artwork.
Yep.
All right, I want them to work. I want the art and the color to work together.
Exactly.
And it's like I figured, how am I going to do this? It's going to be really really bright when I print it, and I'm like, I'll lower the saturation on it by a factor of like 30, like maybe 30% out of 100%. And this is all the colors that you saw here. It's still with all the lowered saturation, and it's still really vibrant. So it's like I can't lose.
It's a dull color, and it gives a better look to it. It's kind of a dull color instead of all the bright colors that's just overwhelming, and that's what I
Yeah,
really like about it. I mean, like you said, they oversaturate a lot of the stuff with color, and it's like, black and white. I really love black and white, just the inks,
yeah.
and the way that you colored this, it's a perfect balance on the color
Thank
for the
you,
comic.
thank
I
you,
really do like it. I enjoyed reading it a lot.
thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, and I'll send you one later. Anyway, but yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I love doing it, and like I said, I'm doing as far as like the writing to make sure that I have the ability to meet all these deadlines, because now I have to produce one once every like 3 months. That's going to be fun. Like I have to, for me, I have to finish the whole issue before I announce a Kickstarter, because that's exactly what I did here. And since I've already started the principal art, I'm at a good pace already. Um, I'm going by the way that Marvel does their stuff. Like as far as their stories, they get the plots first, and then after all the art is drawn in, that's when the writer does the script, because it's like, all right, here's what I want for panels, and then they draw it, and then they're like, okay, here's the script that's going to go with the panels. It's like that makes it quicker, because I mean, I have to do editing anyway, because I'll find a couple of flaws in my writing as it is, where I'm like, oh, I should have said this here, I should have said that there. Why don't I just describe what I'm going to do on each one of these panels, and then I'll just figure out, the words afterwards, which I usually do. So it's just like, since I already have the story in my head on how it's going to end or how it may not end, haha, mystery. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. And what I like about this hero is, not to give anything away, is that, like, how like in a lot of movies lately, in a lot of TV shows, you have characters, like one single character that's always the most powerful character, flawless. It's like Ray from Star, like what was it, like Ray from the Star Wars movies, or Michael Burnham from Star Trek Discovery, where she's the most flawless character in the history of Star Trek. Everything good that ever happened to Kirk or Picard or anything is because of Michael Burnham, because that's just how it is. And it's just like, it's fine if you're an OP character, but you have to have some sort of, like, not so much flaws, but every single person responds different. And the way that my character is going to respond to all of this vast power that's going to be, that she'll be able to access without any type of issue, compounded to how this came about, how she became this certain person, and why, and the circumstances behind everything. I mean, and it's like, this is like throughout her entire life. There's secrets that she doesn't know throughout her entire life that will be exposed while she's in the middle of being as powerful as infinity can be. So it's like it's like, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with absolute power, in a really not so much messed up emotional state, but when you hear everything and the truth to you is revealed, and how your life has either been led to be a lie as a result of others. It's like, in all honesty, I don't know if she's going to be the villain at the end of the story.
And that's a nice thing, having the flexibility of the storyline, that you can waver between good and bad. I mean, that's kind of how, the storyline for Raziel, for Xenonanite Titan.
Excellent.
You're rooting for him to be the hero. Good morning,
Mhm.
Grant. Thanks for joining in. So you're rooting for him to be the hero, but there's so many bad things and adversities the character faces. You start
Yeah.
to hit that point where it kind of wavers, and it rides that fine line of, know, are they going to choose good or are they going to choose evil? And the first book on mine kind of, it seems everything's on the up and up, but it's going to kind of waver back and forth. And that's what I like. I like when you're following a story and you're like, okay, is this person going to be good? Is this person going to be evil? And they falter back and forth between the two lines, and it leaves an open ending for the story to where you don't know what's going to happen with it. And that's one of the flaws of having, the perfect character is, that this character is always going to win in the end.
Yeah, the only character that I know of that was OP like that was Jean Grey. That was the
That
only character that I know of, like in the original, like in X-Men number 137, way back in 1980 when she died. I mean, she had all that power. She was essentially God, but she couldn't handle it because she's still fundamentally human. And I mean, she won, quote unquote, but she sacrificed herself.
Yep.
It's not like she's this god like being, and then all of a sudden just became this benevolent thing where it's like she will put peace throughout the universe and she will be this great thing. No, she was human, and you're faced with in infinite power where the slightest thing can destroy a galaxy. It's like you really got to be calm at this point. You can't be out of touch with anything for a millisecond, because
Yep.
then millions of planets will die. It's just, so she, instead of her going insane, she chose to kill herself. She chose to end her life in order to save the universe, which is exactly what she did. And that's what's great about her, because even though she knew she was infinitely powerful, she knew she was just a finite human being. The same thing with Hal Jordan. Yeah, thank you, Grant. The same thing with Hal Jordan. He went nuts when Coast City was destroyed, and it's like he tried to recreate Coast City, and then the Guardians wanted his ring back. I remember that, and it's like he all of a sudden became like super powerful when he took all the Guardians rings, and it's like it drives you insane, But nowadays, unfortunately, it's like you have these characters who are completely flawless, and I'm like, there's no suspense to it.
No.
There's nothing to it. It's like, all right, yay,
Well, and
you
that's the
know,
draw for indie comics too. So I mean
yeah,
that's where the big two have faltered and they failed, is they've created these super beings that are perfect in every way, and now they have
oh yeah,
no flaws. But the bigger issue is they keep redoing the story arcs. They start
oh
out with
god,
number
oh
one.
my god, how many more number ones do they have to have?
Yeah, and we keep
Oh,
we keep
oh
beating these characters to death, and so that's what's great about the indie world is you're going to write Incantesi, it's going to follow its storyline, it's going to end, and you're going to move on to the next thing or do a different, story arc for another character on there because people wanted to know more about it. But you're not going to go back and be like, all right, here we go, Incantesi number one again, and you're not going to keep beating it to death, and that's where indie comics have really stepped in and picked up the the trophy with books, is because they're like, let us create something new that we're never going to recreate again. We're not going to get to number 10 and then start over at number 1 again. We're going to get to 10 and then it ends, and sorry, we're moving on to the next project. Story over.
yeah, I have I'm excited. I back yours yet? I have to back yours. I don't know if I did or not. Did I back yours yet?
I don't know, honestly. I haven't really checked it this morning. I've
Okay,
been
I'll
creating
check.
graphics and stuff.
I'll check to see if I did, to be sure. I'm getting paid this weekend, so yeah, I'll check to be sure. But yeah, it's like God, it's I have an idea of what's going to happen if my character turns the way that I think it's going to go. I already have like a lead-in story for the next chapter of this thing, and it's kind of like a redemption thing. I'll let everybody know as time goes by as I complete this going. But yes, I'm excited to read yours too. I'm excited to read yours too. If I haven't pledged already, I'm gonna pledge either tonight or tomorrow,
Rich
because I
Perotta.
definitely want to see what you're doing. I read the synopsis before I posted your link to it, and it's really good. It's
Thank you.
really good. I can't wait to read it fully and all that jazz. That's gonna be great.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's
you have to sign it for me too.
well, and that's yeah, and that's the thing about indie books is,
Thanks, Chuck.
the indie books are awesome because they have heart to them. I mean, we're not just creating characters and making up stories just because we want to make money off of them. We
Yeah.
create universes that we care about. We create characters that we care about, and they're flawed, and bad things happen to them, and they're not like every other book where like everybody close to them dies, and then 5 pages later they're like everything's great in my life,
Hmm.
and this is some bad shit happens, and then you move on, and there's some bad mojo. You can tell the character's suffering. It's not like we beat the readers over the head and like, yeah, this guy had bad stuff happen to him. No, it's just like you write in subtleties, them seeing something and reminiscing on a comrade that had fallen or stuff like that. We create characters that are really believable because they are flawed. They experience things in their lives that really are detrimental to their psyche, and it causes them to falter because we're not perfect. We can be the best people that we can be, but when bad stuff happens to us, we do have our times where we go through trials and tribulations, and we don't know whether to do good or bad. Sometimes we make bad choices. It's human nature. And whether you have superpowers or not, or you have a super suit or not, or all of the above, you're still going to have that human psyche, and you can't fix that.
That's very true. That's very true. It's like, and that's what really makes a good story, because of the unpredictability of human behavior. It's like it's the unpredictability. If you have someone who really can write, who really can delve into a character without it being too much and everything. My Rich, when you pledge, please tell Russ I brought you in, so I get step fool card. Oh yeah, Mike brought me in, Russell.
He's talking about this right here, because if you
Oh, he
pledge,
is. Let me see what he's talking about.
if you pledge the Xeno Nanite
Woo!
Titan, you get the Explode member card with Stuff Pool art by me, because my art's
Oh my
terrible,
God, I gotta get one. That
and
looks dope.
it'll have the
Oh my goodness,
20.
that looks so dope.
Thanks, man. I know my art isn't the greatest, but I have a great time. So Steph Wilson, one of our good friends and artists, he does a you could draw segment. So Steph and I have been bantering back and forth since this time last year. And so when he started his Thursday night shows, and he does the you can draw segment, he probably started it, I guess, mid-year last year. And the
Okay.
first thing he drew was taught us how to draw Deadpool. And so I created Stuff Pool. So instead of like the diamond shaped eyes, he's got the round shaped eyes, because Stuff's really good
What?
about boobies, or circle template as we call it.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
every week when he draws for the you can draw, no matter what the characters are, I
Mhm.
always draw in Stuff Pool interacting with those characters, which I'll show off some of my doodles even though they're crappy. But
Okay, I'm sure they're fine.
like this one where Jesse Witchman had bought a Samsung TV, and he got screwed over, and so he shot up their Samsung DVD player.
Oh my God,
So
DVD player, Jesus Christ,
yeah,
that's old.
that's
Oh
old
my
school.
goodness gracious me.
Or you got the Spider-Man one where I
Oh
made
no,
it where it's Catnip instead of Spider-Man that's peeking in the
catnip.
corner.
Oh no.
So it's Tom Hutchison's character. So I made that Tom Hutchison. So I always bring in creators and other artists, Jesse Witchman, Tom
Yes,
Hutchison,
thank you for doing that for all of us, man. You're giving all of us a voice,
and
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 it's like
so
it's really appreciated, man. Thank you.
and so everybody, and you're welcome. And everybody always loves Stuff Pool because it's shitty art, but it's always got a really witty humor to it. And so since I like to blow stuff off, I was like, I drew this where he's holding the bazooka, and it's even got the little. Hold on, let me grab the other card that's not sparkly. You can see it better. The
Oh,
camera does
which one?
not
This
do the
one.
card justice, but it's got the little shark
Ooh,
face on it.
look at that. That's snazzy.
So yeah,
Wow. Oh
so
my goodness gracious
Mike's
me.
pining for it.
Oh, man, I love it, man. That's awesome. I can't wait. When I pledge, I want to make sure I get that card. Russell, I thought you were the perfect being. Thanks for the friend request. Thank you, Rich. See, there you go. You're welcome, Mike. Mike and Trish already backed my project. And I was like, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm really appreciative of everybody who backed my stuff so far. Even if it's nice if I get more, that's great. But I already made the goal. And it's like, if you want to back it, that's fantastic. I want it. I want the issue in everybody's hands, not just for the money. The money is truly like ancillary. If anything, it's less than tertiary. It's just that it's like, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm showing you. And this is a damn good story, and it will be in the next 4 chapters after this one ends. I have a feeling will be a much better story because it'll be a little bit more personal and it'll be more with some characters that are out of place. Some characters are going to be right where they belong. Some characters are gonna be exact opposite of what you think they will towards the end of that second arc, because I already have a story brewing in my head concerning the double page spread that I started doing, and I'll fill you guys in on it as I go along. But yeah, and I'm excited to see yours as far as that. It's much more than what it is, what you have there too. I mean, I'm gonna back it. Is now. Now, let me ask you a question. Forgive me. Is this the first issue?
So this is the first novel, yes. So
Okay. All right. All
yeah,
right. So
I
I didn't
mean,
miss anything before.
no, you haven't missed anything before. This is actually the second Kickstarter. So I wrote this book 10 years ago. It's about 900 pages, and
Wow.
uh, I quit writing it because Roderick was born. My son had open heart surgery at a week old, and so he's
Gee.
had 2 open heart surgeries. He's had 3 cardiac caths. We just had a whole bunch of crap happen in our family. So I just was like,
Oh my God.
in 15, I was just like, I don't have time for the story. I don't really have time to finish it, and I just put it in the cold storage. And I seen it every once in a while on the computer, and I was like, man, I really wish I could get back to it. Well, then last January, I got a cancer diagnosis that I possibly had a 3 by 5 centimeter mass on my spine. A couple of months after my grandpa just passed away from spinal cancer. So I was like, what's my biggest regret? And I'm like, I regret not finishing this book. And so in February, after I had the PET scan and they said there was significant evidence of malignancy, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I commissioned the art for it. I got it out of cold storage, and I brushed it off, and I was like, you know what, we're going to break this up into a trilogy. We're going to kickstart it. I rewrote book one. I did a huge rewrite, put a lot more emotion in it. Took something I thought was great and made it the best it could be at this point in time with my writing, and I'm really proud of it. And here we are a year later. I did find out in September that I don't have cancer.
Oh, thank
Um,
God.
so I
Oh,
have 11 bulging discs and 2 blown discs. My C6 and 7 is blown, and my L, it's 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, something like that, is blown. And so I've been dealing with that. But here we are a year after. On the 31st was when they did the PET scan. Here I am, and I'm sitting funded and getting ready to self-publish my first book. Book two is halfway done, so I mean this is basically going to be a novel trilogy to line out Raziel's origin story. You can't read The Punisher and without knowing that his family was killed and he's back for vengeance. It doesn't make any sense. And I never intended to make this a comic book, but 3 years ago, getting back into the comic book industry and promoting people like you and trying to get their work out there and sharing it all over, I got to thinking, if I ever revisit this story, it would make an awesome comic book. And instead of turning the book into a comic book script, I wanted to publish the book to show off my writing, to try to bring in an artist once I do get to the point that we can do a comic book arc after the origin story ends. That's going to be full on in, like, hell yeah, let's do this. I love the story. I want to do the art for it, and us have a symbiotic relationship and create something truly great that people are going to get into. Because I don't want to hire an artist and they'll be like, oh yeah, the story's decent, because their heart's not going to be in the art. The heart needs to be in all places, and that's why
it's
it's books with heart. It's a double meaning. Everything I do has a meaning to it. The explode part, because I love to blow shit up, and the books with heart, because I love having people on who have their heart in their project. They truly love it, they truly care about it, and they truly care about their audience.
well, yeah. No, it's like, I mean, whenever I have a go live session or anything, I'm very appreciative of people who show up. And if anybody asks me questions, I love when people ask me questions on how my process is, or how anybody, or what the general process might be, because it was taught to me. So it's just, of course, I'm going to spread the word and spread the knowledge of whatever it's going to be. If anybody asks for anything else, but by all means, I have no issue helping anybody out, because one person helped me, and he helped me get to that point. But when I started at Marvel, I was an assistant to Keith Williams, who's been inking comics as long as I've been alive, and he's just such a wonderful human being. I love him. I love him like a father. He's like my second father. He taught me everything I know, and I say that all the time. And he didn't have to do it. So one of the things I want to do after I finish all of this stuff is be an art teacher, as well as take the knowledge that I was given and giving it to somebody else, because there's going to be someone who's going to feel the same way that I did, that no one would believe in me, no one would support me on it, and it's just like,
Or
yeah,
you're
I
too
don't
old
want that to
for
happen to
it.
anybody else. I'm sorry.
Or you're too old for it.
Oh no, well, I was supposedly too old for it when I was like 23, and here I
Yeah,
am.
well,
I'm
and that's
like,
what I mean. You wanna do
older.
it. You want to pass it on because you don't want somebody like you that had this thought that you're too old. It's too late to get into it.
That's never.
You could be a beacon of light to other people that are, in their mid 20s, going, "I really love doing art. I love my art, but I'm too old for this. It's never going to happen." And they can see you. You moved on. You went to work for Marvel for several years. You quit
Yeah,
out of it because you were like, "All right, I've done enough of this." And then you went back and worked for DC, and then you're like, all right, I'm done with this. And then you got into the indie scene, worked on indies, found your true passion of creating, and created something beautiful out of it. And so you can be an inspiration for somebody else sitting out there, sitting at home right now, watching you talk about how you went from I like to draw. I did shading. I did shadows. I did lighting when I was 4 and 5, and doing these coloring books. And then somebody said, "Hey, you need to do an internship at Marvel," and you're like, "Ah, whatever." But it happened for you. And
yeah.
so it's a real, inspiring story to hear you go from where you were to where you are now, and to see you still have the passion for the comic books. It's great. I absolutely love it.
Well, it's the passion for the telling of the story. It's the passion of the telling of the story. It's like that's my gift. I can tell a story. I can visually tell a story, and I can do it well. And it's like, I mean, when I knew that that's what I wanted to do, I studied as many disciplines as I can when it came to that. When it was like, if I wanted to study how to draw panels or something, I would study storyboarding, or I would study cinematography. If I wanted to draw or learn more about human anatomy, I would attend a couple of college classes where it's like you have the human anatomy drawing in the evening classes or whatnot, because I was working during the day. If I wanted to learn how to draw buildings, it's like I would look up architecture and study perspectives, and the schools that I went to, with the exception of the last school that I went, they never had any type of emphasis on that at all. I had to learn a lot of it independently. But if you do that and you push yourself, and I mean, if you really, really push yourself, you'll want it more. You'll want it a lot more than if it was just given to you or handed to you.
Yeah, and that was something that Brian and I talked about on Tuesday when he had me on, and we launched, Xeno Nanite Titan 2.0.
Yeah.
Is, people have walked up to him at cons and asked him, "Oh, how do I get to where you're at without doing all the work?" And it's like, well, Brian's like, if I didn't have to do all of the work to get to the point, then why did I do all the work to get there? And I wouldn't be the person who I am today. And that's,
Wow.
yeah. And it's like people legitimately think that you can get, to Brian Polito numbers, or you can get to, the numbers of Todd McFarland without doing all the work. And it's like, you can't do that. You have to create an audience. You have to show people that your heart is really, hey, Jonathan, thanks for joining.
Hey,
And,
Jonathan, how's it going, man?
and you have to really, show that your heart is truly in it. People don't have to necessarily care about the story. If they like you, they're going to check out your work. If you're a decent human being, and you really have to put the effort in to show, this is who I am. Let them get a chance to understand you. Let them meet you. Show off your work. Give out samples of your work. Sell your book close to nothing. And those are all sacrifices that you have to make in order to get a name out there for yourself and people to truly see, hey, I don't know this guy from Adam, and I'm buying his project. Is he going to make good on it? Is it going to be a good story? And that's all things that we have to do in order to get to the place that those people have been. It's like Rob Liefeld, with Deadpool, and all the different stuff. People say, "Oh no, I don't like this, I don't like that." you could go off and do it on your own and prove to people that you have the gall to get to where you're at. And they didn't
Yeah.
just get there overnight.
No, he did not. No, no one gets there overnight. And it's the funniest thing when there's people. Rich, you are doing such an amazing job promoting your art and project. I'm honored to see something. Trish, thank you. Thank you very much. That's so. You see, I love that because that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, if someone reacts that way when they see my work, I'm honored. I'm truly honored. I really am because it's like, I mean, I don't do it for the fandom either. You know, it's like I do it because I do want to reach out, but I don't want accolades that I don't deserve. And even if I do deserve them, I don't really want them because it's just me being a human being and me just spreading the gift of knowledge and whatever artistic ability I have to someone else because it was given to me. You know, I may have had raw ability, but someone had to like focus it, and one person did, like I said. And it's like, you know, it usually just takes one person to change your life when it comes to something like that. And I hope I can do that when I'm a teacher, or even when I do it now, or whatever it might be. And it's just going back to what you said about how some people, it's like, how can I get to that point without having to do all the work? And it's like, well, you can't. You know, I really got to tell you, it's like one of my friends who was my agent, quote unquote, stopped being my friend immediately because there was this guy that she was really into who couldn't draw to save his life. He was just doing prints, like 10 foot tall Deadpools. You know, it's just like everything was just bad. He's like one of those like fanboy artists who would sell his crap over at a convention and claim to be an artist. So it's like, oh, I worked on a page of this 12 years ago, so I'm still famous for it. And it's like, hey, I'm like, sweetie, I did 5 pages one day of, I don't know, X-Men. So come on, enough, stop. You know, it's like, that's enough. And I hate that because it's like this guy asked her to ask me, how do I get into Marvel? And I'm like, well, you have to learn how to draw. That's one. You have to draw a lot. That's two. You have to go in there without any type of attitude. That's three. Expect to not make it for a few years. That's four. And don't ever talk to me again or ask me another question like that. That's five. And the girl that I knew, she was like, why are you being like this to me? And I go, well, it's a simple fact that it's like it's like you did it so a guy can like you, you know, and you did it so this guy can feel like, oh, if he just tells me what it is, I'll be able to get in without an issue. And I'm like, the arrogance behind that is astonishing, and it's more prevalent now than I've ever seen in my life because lots of kids in their 20s and 30s who think that they're artists. They feel like, you know, that they can just jump in and just do the job that you do with no effort. And it's like, no, if there's no effort, first off, if there's no effort behind it, then there's nothing behind it, period.
Yep.
If you
Well,
don't put any type of effort into anything that you're doing that you claim to have a passion for, then it's not really your passion.
well, and that's the thing. If you don't have passion for it, it also the secondary thing is without that passion and that effort, you don't have art that sets yourself apart from others.
No.
There's thousands of artists out there, and they all do good work, but the ones who are really truly passionate about it and truly put the effort in set themselves apart from the other artists, and they stand out, and that's why they are where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I want to be. I want to be the type of artist. I like to think that I am to an extent. Um, I want to be that type of artist that puts everything into what he does. And so far, so far, I've done that
Well,
with the
and that's
people
the
I've
thing.
worked with,
You're
along with the book that I have. I'm sorry.
And that's like with you. You're always trying to better your art. You're not you. You've done work for Marvel. You've done work for DC. You've done work for indies, but you're still trying to better yourself. Learning how to color. Learning how to do the stuff for your own comic book, and
Yeah.
trying and trying and trying and then trying to make it better. So, and that's another thing that's really important. You know, to be a great artist, you need to always be trying to better yourself. To be a creator, you have to always try to be better yourself. As an author, I need to try and better myself. we don't ever want to get to a point where we're like, I'm the best and I don't need to improve. Because
I never
when you
want to
get
be the
like
best.
that, you're just too arrogant, you know?
Yeah, I never want to be the best at anything. I don't, because once I'm supposedly the best, then that means I stop growing and I stop evolving, and that's it. And that's
That's
it.
it.
And I don't want that. I don't want that. Yeah, most people that come up to you and ask you how you do what you think they can do in success overnight. There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Nope.
No such thing. I mean, even if a person hands in a portfolio and it's so fantastic they get a gig immediately, first off, that's timing. That in and of itself is timing. It's like you have to, like, the person has to have a portfolio that is ridiculous that they've been honing for about maybe 5 years. And then they have to step into a convention where 10 minutes before, the pencil that was on the book is all of a sudden like, F you, Marvel, I quit. And then you have to be there with your portfolio in your hand. And it has to be a scripted television thing where it's like, where am I going to find another artist who's going to finish this? Oh, look at this artwork. That's how it becomes overnight. It has to be scripted by some 20-something Hollywood hack who's watched too many Lifetime Hallmark Christmas movies. It's like everything just falls into place. It's like, wow, how'd this happen? It's just like, wow, I can't believe that something like this would happen to someone like me. It's like, no, that's not how it happens. You have to bleed for it. You have to die for it. You have to hate yourself, and you have to shun all of society away from you for a while you do all this. It's like
Yep.
you have to. It's like if you're a musician, if you're a sculptor, if you're an architect, if you do anything, if you're a florist, I mean, if you do anything that's creative, there's always gonna be time. Hey, Quentin, what's up? There's always something that you're gonna have. If you're creative, you have to put everything into it. If you don't bother. Don't bother. Because all you're doing is fooling yourself and wasting your time. If you really love this, if you really love what you do, like I love what I do here, I will spend the time. I will make it work. And I have made it work, but not without killing myself. I mean, like hours and hours. I mean, when I was asked to put a portfolio together for Marvel, I didn't sleep for a week. I had to do 3 portfolios in 1 week. One I had to do in 3 days. No, I'm sorry. One I had a week to do. Another one I had 3 days to do, and another one I had 1 night to do. The same amount of work. So it's like, all right, I'm screwed. Just coffee, whatever it is, and that's it. You have to really push, and if you don't, then don't do it at all. I mean, that's it really. When you're the best of your field, the best thing you can do is to die, so your stuff can be remembered is best. Because that's morbid. Wouldn't it be best if you did prior, and that's what the best constantly evolve and make themselves better? Yes. You have to make yourself better. That attitude in question also completely discounts one hard work and shows a lack of appreciation for you of that work. It also implies that the work you and other great artists put in does not warrant the rewards. The viewpoint of a craft of talent is crazy. Yes, that's what you see. That's what I hate the most. Where it's like where someone who doesn't who clearly does not have any type of discipline within that person's life, you can tell. All right, all of a sudden thinks that they can do something like that and just pick it up, and all of a sudden it's just, yeah, I can do this. This is nothing. It's like I know a guy in Ohio. I forgot his name, thankfully, because if I knew his name, I would say it out loud. He I was speaking at a high school in Canton, Ohio, and this guy he said he wanted to do like one of those podcasts with me, an audio podcast. He didn't really want to do that with me. He asked me a few questions, blah blah blah, and then when the thing ended, he showed me this raggedy portfolio from like 10 years ago, where it's like he tried to copy drawing like Jim Lee, and it's like, what do you think? You think you can get me into Marvel? And I'm like, there's no way I can possibly get you into Marvel. What are you doing? And it's like, and then I find out that this guy is has a comic book class, and he's never drawn a comic book in his entire life. But he's charging parents like $200 a pop to have their kids learn how to draw comics. And I'm like, you're a thief. What are you doing? You total S-bag. It's like, but it's the truth. It's like they think that if anyone says anything, so many people that I've met, that if you say something negative about their work, or if you offer constructive criticism, they think you're attacking.
Yep, and you
And
can't
I'm
do
like,
that. If somebody offers you constructive criticism, if somebody walked up to me at a con and said, "I hate your book,"
okay,
my
goodbye.
question is going to be why. Why? What did you hate about it, and why? Those, instead of getting defensive and getting mad and angry because somebody criticizes your work, it's not because they want to be a d-bag. It's because they want to help you. They want to see you
Yeah,
grow. They like you as a person enough to tell you your flaws and what they don't like about your book, and you should respect that, and you should ask the questions of why, and find out, are they being a d-bag, or are they just trying to be a helpful, loving fan that says, "Hey, I know you can do better than this, and this is why I didn't like it. You need to work on this." The moment you stop taking constructive criticism, that's what we talked about earlier. That's when you think, "Oh, I'm the best that I could be," and we never
yeah,
want to get to that point.
yeah. No, it's there's that. There's someone who asks you questions, and then there's someone who just says for the sake of it. Like someone would say it to me, it's like, you suck. I could do better. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're thinking. Why are you even bothering? And it's almost like this game that some people play, where it's like they try and talk themselves up and convince themselves that they are what they are when they're not. And it's just it's frustrating after a while, because I look at it and I'm like, you're really not proving anything to yourself. The only thing you're doing is, giving yourself positive affirmation with nothing but negative reactions, and negative conclusions and consequences. All you're doing is, all that person like that is doing is essentially pissing someone off. I mean, forget about Marvel and DC, the people that I know there. It's like I'm connected rather widely with a whole bunch of other people in the independent circuit. I had a friend of mine who did the worst possible thing he could have possibly done. I was mentoring him, and he did the worst possible thing he could have done. And I was upset about it. When I talked to a couple of my friends about it, the really important friends, if you know what I'm talking about, they're like, give me the word and I'll destroy him. I'm like, no, no, don't do that, because he will die. Don't do that. Do not do that. You know, I always ask, do you actually want my opinion, or do you want me to tell you how wonderful you are? I hate when people say that I'm wonderful. If that ever happens, I will hate that. I don't like that. It's like, it's uncomfortable, because it's like, I'm not doing it. I mean, to me, I'm not doing anything special. There's this firemen who charge into buildings that are burning to rescue a child. There's a soldier who fights. And it's like, there's people who are doctors and nurses who save lives every single day. EMT workers who do that every single day. I just draw pretty pictures. I'm nothing special. That's it. That's all I do. I just, that's it.
Well, and that's what I love about you, Rich. It is not
Oh
very
man,
often.
thank you.
It's not very often that you get to see an artist show the process of creating their project. You are every day you get on, you're either inking a page, you're sketching something for book two, you're inking something for book two, you inked the cover live. And
Yeah, that was
I
fun.
love how dedicated you are to showing this project off and getting this project out there. And I love sharing it out everywhere, trying to get people to see the awesomeness of your work. I mean, the way that you ink, the way it just flows and you just go about it, it's like muscle memory for you. And
Yeah,
and it's great too because you talk, you engage with the audience while you're doing it, and you're always talking about how you're trying to better yourself and everything. So, and the project now is fully funded, like you said earlier, if people want to back it, great. But you're trying to put everything you can into this book and making this book better, and that's why people really need to back this project. You're not just backing a project; you're backing a project of a person who is showing you the process, showing you how they're trying to make themselves better, and showing you how the next issue is going to be even better than the first
oh
through
yeah.
trying to do these new styles, these new techniques that you're taking on.
Ooh, yeah, that's really it. It's about, again, if for me, it's telling the story, and it's also showing people that the more you push and the more you put into it, really, it's cliche. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And if you have the love for it, if it's something, it sounds corny when I say this. I'm gonna sound like a Hallmark movie guy, But if you have that passion in your soul, if you have that fire burning inside of your belly or your heart or wherever else, and you use it to just like to take what you have and just put it out there, whether it's poetry, whether it's a song, whether it's a painting, it could be a sculpture, whatever it is. It's like this is what's in your mind. This is a story that you're creating one way or the other, whether it's music, whether it's a sculpture, whether it's painting, whether it's a comic book page, or whether it's a film or a play. It's like it's the stories of human life and its interpretations of human life that draw people in, because it's like not so much that everybody's life is mundane, but it's nice to step out of outside of a person's life once in a while and engage in stories of heroism or villainy or anything else, and that's why people love comic books and love all sorts of things like that, because it's engaging in another part of another universe, and it's like you get to dive into that for a minute and you get to see certain things and how things work and how they don't work, and when you see a story that could be a little bit wrong, you understand why it's wrong, or you understand why that character is wrong, or you understand why that character is right. Yeah, it's like there's so many books out there, it's like, oh God, Kill a Mockingbird, Fahrenheit 451. It's just like all those. I mean, I like the classic Kill a Mockingbird instead of the one that was just done yet to here recently. Because, interesting fact, it turns out, if I'm correct, the guy who is the African American gentleman who was on trial was actually like the admiral in the Star Trek movies. I don't know if you know that. I think his name was Brock Peters. He played a very young man when he was accused, and when Gregory Peck was defending him. And it turns out Brock Peters is like the admiral in like the Star Trek 3, 4, and 5 and 6 or something like that. It's awesome. It's just like, wow, that's connection. I can't believe it. I'm a complete nerd when it comes to that. Don't tell anybody. All right. I didn't mean to say that. I rambled.
Oh, it's all right, man. It's good. It gives people a chance to get to know you, and it's great that
Yeah,
you're willing
I'm a
to take
little.
the time out of working on the book to get on here and talk about yourself, to talk about the project and how you're trying to better yourself and make it the
Well,
best
I
you
want
can.
everybody to better themselves. It's like, I mean, how else do you grow as a person? If you haven't checked it out, go look. It is amazing. Yes. What I'll do is I'm going to start. What I'll do to get a little bit more familiarity with the thing, I'm going to start posting some pages here and there on some of like the groups and everything else. Because it's like I want that. That's something I should have done, but it's not a big deal. What I am going to do is I want everybody to see what I'm doing first before investing, because I'm not going to put anything out that's going to look like crap. I'm not. And I'm not going to put anything out that's going to make it seem like it's completely blasé, or it's like, oh yeah, look at this. I can do this easy. It's never easy. Nothing you ever love is ever easy. Never.
That's right. It doesn't just fall into your lap and
No,
make you an
it does
overnight
not.
success.
It does not. I mean, even though I had the internship at Marvel, I mean, I learned a few things, and a few things I learned a few things to do and a few things not to do. And it's like there were a couple of times when it's like the things not to do almost got me fired. So it's like, yeah. So you learn quick, and it's like you make sure that whatever it is you're trying to do, you don't screw it up, because it's very easy to do. It's a very, very easy thing to mess up, because when you do something specialized instead of like, being an accountant or, work in an office, or a lawyer or something like that, it's not that those careers are bad. They're fine. It's just that it's like there's less of a chance of being terminated and pushed away and excommunicated, because the creative lifestyle is a very finite universe. Everybody knows everybody after a while, or everybody's connected to everybody. It's like that's who we all are. I mean, there's not that many of us, really. I mean, it may seem like it, but there really isn't. And it's in contrast to people who do one thing or another. It's like, yeah, we all have to watch out for each other. We really do, because there's only us. And because we do something different from everybody else, we're not looked at as like the most responsible people in the world, or as one way or the other. And it's like that's not true.
Well, if you don't mind,
Yes, sir.
since you said you wanted to show off some of the book, we can show off the first few pages. I can share screen it on here if you don't mind
Yes,
showing it
let's
off.
do that. Let's do that. Let's share off. Let's share off if you want. Let's share off the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let's show off the first 5 pages. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, give me a second to open it up here, guys, and I'll let you guys get a glimpse of the. You said the first what? 4 pages?
The first 5 pages, pages 1 to 5.
All right. So let's share screen this bad boy. All right. Give me just a second, folks. I'm pulling it up
Take
now.
your time. And all right, this ought to be fun.
All right, here we go. Bringing it up. Right meow.
Right meow.
Right meow.
Right meow. Oh, this ought to be fun. Yeah, that's the cover, and that's the back cover. Ah, that's so much fun. Wow, that's it on that one.
Give it a second to load, folks. Since I'm live, it's going to take a second. That is not what I wanted to do. Why did it not open? All right, hold on. There we go. Yeah,
Yay.
I hit the arrow button, and it takes me to my other thing.
Chapter 1. Yes. This is so much fun. Oh yeah, there it is. That's our main character. Her name is Cassandra Rossi. She is a ballet dancer, a very reluctant ballet dancer, as you'll see. There's that. Here she is. She's the goofy faces. Those are so much fun. And that's her Aunt Amelia, who is in this universe is a world-renowned ballet dancer who retired when Cassandra was about 6 years old. So she's in her late 40s, early 50s at this point. But she's also something else, as you'll see as the issue goes along. And over here, you're gonna meet these 3 girls over here who turn out to be the main antagonists, except for the girl that's sitting down. You'll find out why as they go along. And over here was a fun scene because it's like I had to try and figure out how I was going to put all that script in there. That was fun. Trying to make it all work together, and it's like, oh boy, I'm thankful that I did a little bit of editing, so the digital copy when it comes out is going to be a little bit more efficient. So there's that. So if you want, you can jump to page 34. Okay, that's page 7 and 8. They drive back to Amelia's place. Cassandra lives there also. Amelia turns out Amelia's her guardian, her aunt actually, because Cassandra's parents died when she was 6. So and now Amelia is going into her private chamber. All right, you'll see the rest of it as it goes. But yeah, go to page 34 if you can, because that's when the action starts. Actually, the action starts a little bit before that because there's a reason as to why she uses her powers. But
give it a second to load up. I went a little too fast for it. It's trying to render.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Yeah, where are you now? Page 17 at this point?
Yeah, it's 17 to 28, so it should be page 34.
Okay.
It's the way it's paging it is 1, so it's 1, 2, and then page 2 is 2, 3, or 3, 4.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I did it for the initial release of the digital copy.
So is this the page you wanted me to go to?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The page after that will be the page after that is when it starts like getting a little violent and all that stuff. So you see that it turns out this cop is possessed by supernatural forces, and he changes his body, and he wants Cassandra. He wants to kill Cassandra so he can take over her body and do all sorts of really terrible things, which you'll find out as you read the book. I don't want to give away too much.
Yep. So that is
So
your glimpse at the book there, folks.
yes,
And
sir.
you can see the coloring there, how it's not super bright, how it's got that kind of flat look to it. It's perfect. Like you said before earlier in the show, I love the coloring in this because you get all these books from Marvel and DC, and it's just like in your face color, and it's like too much, and they ruin a lot of the art. Yours, you can still kind of see how much detail went into the art itself because the color doesn't take away from it. And I
Yeah,
really, like I said earlier, I love that.
yeah. It's like I don't want anything to be fighting against it. Now, I've noticed that a lot. I don't like when like the elements when the elements are fighting against each other in order to make a cohesive unit. So it's like, yeah, I can't. I need to lower it a little bit, and I wanted that look anyway because what one movie stood out to me as I like. I mean, I do watch. Of course, everybody watches movies. I watch the movies to make sure that I get an idea of like cinematography and how scenes are made up. You be quiet. I'm spending too much money. Okay. Anyway,
No, she was. I think she's talking to Pops.
okay. What was I going to say? No, it's like I saw this. What was the name of this movie? Incantesi, rated R. It's I not no I can't. I couldn't make. I changed a few of the words. It's not rated R. It's not. I'm trying to make it accessible. I could make it excruciatingly R with the language, but no, I'm not going to do that. But what was I going to say? Oh God, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You're
Oh
talking
my God.
about how you didn't want the color to take away from it, and you were trying.
Yes, yeah. It's like yeah. There was a movie that I watched. It was called Payback. It's stars Mel Gibson and Greg Henry
Yeah,
and who else? Chris Christopherson, a whole bunch of those other guys and stuff like that. And throughout the whole movie, the palette was reduced greatly by about 50%. It's like the colors were not gray, but they were definitely not shiny. It was like it added to the atmosphere of like a criminal underworld where it's like everything is muted because everything that they talk about is secret, one way or the other, and the colors and the cinematography reflected that, and that's what I loved about that movie. It was so it's like it forced me to pay attention to it because when you have certain colors that are contrasty, you got to pay attention to them just by osmosis. You're going to pay attention because it's like they're both bright, especially if they're complementary. Because if you take red and green and put them together, they brighten each other, whether anybody realizes it or not. With the colors that were there, they just the saturation was like half of what it should be, and it's like, God, man, it's like I had to really look at it to understand it. So, did you know you sent me a copy with the actual editing in it? Yes, yeah, I did. I'm sure I did. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one that I had. That's the one with the editing that I have to do. I did. Oh, that's fine. No, no. This is the one that has like a few of the spelling errors and stuff like that in it. But it's a first copy. Yeah, it looked bluish. It did look bluish. Yeah, but a lot. It was saturated down. It did look a little bit bluish, but a lot of the colors were saturated down, and it made it like not so much darker, but you really had to strain in order to see it because it's not how color usually works. And it's just like that's what I loved about it. It didn't overwhelm anything. The color or whatever it was, it didn't overwhelm the theme and the look of the movie and the way that my art falls. At the very least, I see my art similar to that within the way the movie was structured. So that's why I wanted to lower the opacity and lower the saturation of the color, and it worked. It just worked. I mean, it's like even lowering the saturation on it, it's still pretty vibrant in a lot of areas, and I was very pleased. So it's like,
well, and it gives the energy that much more attention. When they're
oh yeah,
using the energy powers, it brings and it draws more attention to that in the book instead of everything else that's so bright taking away from it. It just kind of blends in. It doesn't blend in. It stands out. It really does.
yeah. You want to make sure that whatever you have that needs to stand out to stand out. It's like a film in gray tone, but then when someone gets shot, it's just like Sin City. When someone gets shot, it's like all black and white and gray and all that stuff. But when they get shot, it's like red blood all over the place, and it's like super vibrant red blood, and it's like, wow, that's shocking.
Yeah.
It's like that. But my comics like that, but quite a little bit less overstated and it's understated. So yeah, it worked, and I'm so pleased with it. I'm proud of myself. I'll be honest with you, because I didn't think I'd be able to pull it off, and I did. I'm like, yay, I'm awesome.
Well, I'm
You
proud
know,
of you too.
thank you,
It's
man. Thank
definitely
you.
an
I can't
awesome
wait to
book.
read your stuff, man. I can't wait to read your book also. I'm going to pledge within the next couple of days. I'll definitely pledge during the time of the campaign. I can't wait to get a copy of it, man.
It's
And I
all
want a
good,
card. You got to get a card.
man.
Definitely.
You gotta get your
I
stuff pool
want to
card.
Yes, I want that card.
And then Jack said Frank Miller's Sin City draws you to especially when there's a splash of color. Yep.
Exactly. I just said, yeah, Jack's right. And so am I. So it's like, yeah, man, I can't wait until I'm excited to put, I'm excited to put this out. It's going to be great. It's going to happen. When issue 2 comes out, it's going to be more. It's going to be more, and it's going to build in crescendo, and it's going to be. You want explosions? Wait until issue 4.
Yeah, you're speaking
Issue
my
4.
language.
I will spoil this. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I will spoil this. Issue 4 will be all fighting. It will be 48 pages and maybe a couple of pages of breaks in between to slow the pace down, but there will be really, really nasty things happening to everything. It's like reality warping, people being turned inside out. It's like, yeah, bad. It's like I'm really gonna I'm researching things now on what a human body would look like if it was turned inside out. So it's like
So people are
assuming you
watching
could
your
feel
Google
anything,
searches.
it's like whoa, oh my god.
Google's like, report this man immediately.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, that page that I saw you where the girl's starting to dissolve and all that, it's like I'm gonna have her just like discorporate. Are we gonna lose a color in the book? No, we're not. No, we're not. No, it's like the girl in the page that you saw that's discorporating. She's just I mean, I'm gonna draw it in a way where it's like you still know it's a human body, but it's coming apart by the atom. It's
By the
pretty
atoms,
bad.
yeah, it's being
Oh,
rearranged.
yeah, it's gonna be pretty nasty. It's not going to be super bloody, gory or anything like that. I mean, when I say turn a person inside out, it's just going to feel like the person's going to be turned inside out, and the visual is going to be there, but it's not like, dead. The person will still be alive.
No, Mike, I cannot imagine that, because if you read my Google searches, I had a lot of straightforward Google searches when I was coming up with like the new element for the book. I wanted something new that, like, if I Googled it, Google would be like, we're sorry, there's no searches found for this. Like, they couldn't even find something related to, because you know how Google's like, we think you meant this. This
Yeah,
is what we're going to show.
exactly.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like you Google it and there was like nothing. It was just like, sorry, no results found. And I found some really, really crazy shit that way. I was like, I typed in, I did a search, and I'm like, I am so not using this name, because this is like a BDSM site with some real crazy like animal fetishes.
Woo!
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so yeah, I'm sure my Google searches for a while there, they were like, what is this guy even doing?
yeah.
We gotta watch him.
It's like if you and I decided to really dive into it, it's like dark web territory at this point.
Yeah, it is. At this point, it's like we're getting ourselves in a little over our head, and it's like it's the sacrifices we have to do as writers, and it's great that we do that, because that's what makes the work so good. We do the research. We try to invent something that is different. I mean, it may not be different in qualities of other elements, but it's unique and it's going to be memorable.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely gonna be memorable. I can't wait, man. I'm sure your wife loved the. Oh wow, that's messed up, Jack. Wow. Oh man. Yeah, it's like yeah, I'm excited for what I'm going to do, and yeah, the Kickstarter has what 12 days left. By all means, please check it out. You can get I mean, if you look at it, you'll get a more complete, concise explanation on what the story is going to be. And you'll get to see some of that art. And I will definitely post some more pages from the first issue onto the Kickstarter, and I'm also going to post them on my social media, on my Facebook. And anybody, if they want to, by all means, send me friend requests so you can. I mean, because my go lives are usually public, but if you're there, you'll get notifications a lot quicker instead of just showing up.
Yeah, instead of waiting for me to share it all out everywhere. But yeah, I definitely, guys, check out his profile page if you have problems finding it. The link is up above in the comments. I just posted it probably about 25 minutes ago. So definitely
Yeah.
check out his page. Send him a friend request. Hop in on the live, chat with them, ask the questions, any questions that you can think of for those who are watching this back. Any of you that are watching this now, definitely go give it a look. Check it out. Check out the
Thank you.
page. Look at the art and go back and watch the video again when we show the pages off so you can see what some of the interiors look like. So,
Man, thank you.
Rich, I'm
I
going to
can't
get...
thank you enough, man. You really this is really fantastic. Thank
No,
you.
you're very welcome, man. And I will give you the full screen and let you say your last goodbyes before I pull you out.
All right, man. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, one and all, who decided to show up and listen to my story, such as it is. And I'm honored. Even if you just take a look at the book, I'm honored. Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell a story. And after all this time, I found the thing, and Incantesi does it for me. And I hope it does it for you too. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mwah.
You're
I love
very
you
welcome.
guys. And I am going to talk to Russell. I will talk to you again very shortly.
All right.
And I'm going to talk to everybody. I will see all of you again very, very soon. Thank you so much, man. Really.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome. And I'm going to kick you back to the green room. If you want to hang out there, I'll be right back when the show ends.
All right. I'll be back there.
Thank you. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. Not tonight. I almost said tonight. I'm not used to doing these afternoon shows. Thanks for watching today. Thanks for watching this afternoon. Thanks for checking out the book. Thanks for watching and listening to Rich's Inspirations. He's got an incredible story. A story much like mine. He got a cancer diagnosis last year. He did the treatments for it, and he's still pushing forward. He's doing his own book, and he's making the best of it. And he's always trying to better himself, which is what we love to hear. So definitely check out the Kickstarter. The link is in the description of this video. The link is in the comments several times. Definitely give it a look. It's awesome work. Like I said, I've read the first book. Pops has been commenting in the comments. He's read the first book, and it's amazing. And there's going to be a few changes made. It's not the edited version, but it's pretty much in essence what the story's going to be, and I really love it. There's original artwork available on the Kickstarter too, so if you love collecting original artwork, now's your chance to get in on the original artwork for issue 1. Go check it out. He is shipping to the U.S., even though he's based out of UK, so don't let that fool you. And the shipping is very reasonable. It's not a deal breaker. So, guys, thanks so much for watching today. One last announcement is Xeno Nanite Titan. It fully funded in 11 hours, and we are $24 away from the very first stretch goal. So today, I would love to see you guys share this out. Everyone who's backed it, everyone who hasn't backed it, give it a share. Same for Rich's project. If you can't afford to back it, if it's not something that is your forte, at least give it a share, because a share is worth its weight in gold. You sharing it shows it to 50 other people. 2 people may back it, and they'll share it out, and then that's how we do it. We make the ripple. We send it out into the ether to where everyone can see it. That way, everyone that is into that kind of thing can get a chance to back it. So I appreciate you guys being here so much. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I will see you guys tonight from AD Studios, the Changeling Horror Show. If you're not a member of that page, you need to be. Send me a message if you can't find it, and I will send you the link to it. Original mock-up books will be given away tonight, and you have to be present to win. That's 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern, not 6 o'clock Arizona, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. These time zones mess me up. Everyone, this is Russ Explode Studios, projects that blow your mind. Everyone have a great day, and I will see you all later.